Hey everyone, welcome once again to one of our Tech Tuesdays. I'm really happy to be here with Mark, who is our CTO and founder, and Eduardo, who is an automation engineer. Um, Today we're going to talk about built-in SQL Historian and some of our integrations, more specifically GE, OSISoft PI, and InfluxDB. I won't take too long, just letting you guys know once again that we have it here on chat open. So if you have any questions, let us know. We usually take a time at the end of the presentation to kind of go through all the questions. And hey, Alexander, I see you here as well. Welcome. I will be linking our Discord on chat as well, so you guys can go ahead and talk to us there, connect with us there. And I think that's it. Let us know. One final thing. If you have not subscribed to our channel yet, please do. So we do those sessions every week, bringing you technical topics around our software that I think help you get a bigger vision of everything that we can do. So now, yes, go ahead, Mark. Why don't you tell us a little bit about today's topic?
Yeah, you can share your screen, Eduardo.
Mm-hmm.
We will start right away going to talk about OSISoft PI, but first of all, we have built in the TouchSoft FrameworX a full and complete tag storage module to archive and retrieve time series data. And one key concept of that tool is that it works right out of the box with any type of SQL database or extensions of SQLs. For instance, if you used to use Postgre go to the storage module, please, Eduardo.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to use Postgre with our system and timescale DB, all those options of SQL databases, they work out of the box with our engine. And we also can pick up external storage packages like GE, OSISoft PI, InfluxDB, or any other one your company wants to use. And we have a technology for dynamic storage locations that we can integrate those third-party storage to act as the built-in storage location for FrameworX. It means when you develop your applications, you have our out-of-the-box storage engine, and your application can concurrently access data from many storage packages. And what's very nice, when you are showing that on displays or scripts, the system is agnostic from where the data is located. So you can plot a trend chart with one tag from Pi, one tag from SQL Historian. All your script, codes, data analytics, AI, display, all your business operations will use the data from those many historians, plus the data you yourself decide to add to archive in a very easy way. So let's start showing something about Pi, Eduardo, and I'll let you do the way you prefer.
Okay, perfect. Do you hear me well?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have been doing some improvements in the Pi driver. So I'm just about to show that and also what we already had. And we also created tag provider for that and the importer tool. So let's start with the basic, with the Pi. So I have here the Pi server running in my machine. And for connecting to Pi, the first thing we have to do is obviously create a channel, as we used to, and then create a node. And here in the node that are how we connect to that. So let's open this dialog here just to do the configuration. So here we just put the IP.
Eduardo, can you go to Windows Zoom In and make the resolution a little bigger, please?
Um,
In our top menu, Windows Zoom In. Yeah. So for the users that perhaps does not have, okay, thank you.
Is
That's
this better?
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay, so the first thing we do is put the IP, and then we can select between the AF server or the PI server. So in here, you can connect to the directly attribute that you have in the PI system, just like we have it here in the PI System Explorer. Or you can connect directly to the raw data, which is the PI server, which you have
And
it here.
because some companies they use different name conventions. To be clear, PyServer is the traditional historian tool from OSISoft. You connect directly to the historian archives, or you can also connect what's OSIsoft now Aviva put out as the asset framework interface, where you have the tree and the dating contexts. So in our case, we can connect with both type of servers, the asset framework, the AF server, or directly to the traditional Py tags or historian tags that they just call Py system in their technical documentation. Go ahead, Eduardo.
Yeah, most of the uses, the AF attribute will be linked to a PI point, so we
Yeah.
also support that. Okay, so then when you have it here, you just press test connection, and it will complete the PI server name and also retrieve all the databases you have in the AF database, if that's the case. And then you just select it, and then you have access to all the attributes that you have in that database. The new thing that we implemented recently was the authentication, which you can authenticate with username, password, and also domain if you have that. And an interesting architecture is that some companies have users in different domains. So I can be here in this network in one domain, and then in the same network have other domain. And usually for doing that, you have to do a more special authentication, doing some impersonate stuff. And for that, we create the solutions, this checkbox here. So if you are using a different domain, you should check this impersonate, which will pretend that you are in the other network, and it will allow you to authenticate to that. And also for some AF databases, you may want to use data pipe, which, okay, so in the normal scenario, you would have pooling data. So you request the reading. Oh, I want to read the attribute one. So you send a package for that, and then it retrieves the value for you. But we also support using data type, which is some kind of reading from the AF database that you can write based on event. So every time it will be checking the connection, and every time the value changes there, you will be notified by that. So these are the two main things we implemented recently. The first one, the authentication with impersonate, and using data type as well, optionally. So, okay, now that we chose our AF database, we can come here in the points, and let's open the address. You can see here that we have a browse AF tree, which we can open. This is a AF dialog directly from the API. So we can come here, we can select which attribute we want. So let's select the 6, for example. We just press OK, and we have the attribute 6 here. We can also verify this value and address found. The current value is 3. So this is a pretty easy interface to use, and you're good to go. Now, if you run the solution, you must be reading that value. Okay.
Wow, and let me review what we did here. Just having the Pi and having the IP or the server name for the Pi, we could do the entire configuration, the security connections, advanced security options, the connection databases, points. We do the entire configuration only in FrameworX.
That's correct. In a couple seconds.
Great.
Yeah, and then so
You're about
let's
to read the application or not? Yeah, you put that
yeah, I
application.
don't know. Do you want me to go a little bit deeper running the application?
No, not really. Let's focus on the connections because to be clear, now that we have that connection, we can subscribe date, you can read, you can write, you can use on displays, you can use on trade charts, you can use annotation. But I will talk about those options later. Let's focus on the Pi.
Okay. Then I would like to show also that we have the tag provider for Pi now. This was developed recently, so it works the same. Just put your IP here. Then you test connection. You see it retrieved the Pi server name automatically, and also all the AF databases. So you can create a connection to Pi. And yeah, for the last one, I would like to show the importer from Pi. So if you have a Pi server running here and you don't want to do any configuration,
Porter, to be clear, what he just did with the tag provider, it's also a powerful feature of frameworks. We don't need to do that mapping tags he described. With the tag provider, you can go on tags on the asset tree and start browsing the Pi data directly. And so we don't need to go the tag definition. We did talk about tag provider in the last Tuesday, so don't need to go on the details there, Eduardo.
okay.
I just point that the tag providers he showed briefly allows you to integrate the PyStorian in our unified namespace and also in our Historian package. Now go to the importer.
Okay, so if you don't want to do really any configuration, you just want to do your solution in a couple clicks, you can use our import tags tool, which I can show you. You have here the Pi system. So you do the setting as just like the other ones. Database one, let's press OK. And then when we click in refresh, we can see that we have the whole AEF architecture here. By the way, we can compare to our Pi system explorer, which we have the element one, the sub element, the element one, the element four, and we can also expand the tree here, and we can see that we have all the attributes inside. So what this allows us to do is that we can select element one, for example, and in one click, we can import all the tags that are inside of element one or any other path you choose in the tree. And you see that when we import that, it will appear here in the tags. So you have element one. And then if you go in user types, which can be understood also as UDT, you have all this structure in here. So this is just like a tree. We can see it here as well.
Oh, so with that one click, you just pick up any asset from the asset framework and create the structure connected with our own custom asset model, and all the connections is done.
Yeah, and it's not just importing the tags, it also creates for you the connection here. So let's see, it would be the channel, the node, and also the point that you have it here. Look. So yeah, it did all the setting in just one click.
And I see it even connects all the data structures. So it's not only point by point. To be clear, the OSISoft has the same concept that we have, or UGT, or user types, or data templates.
Mm-hmm.
So when you do the import and the connection, you can work at a higher level, creating those data templates automatically and making the connection at the template level with all the properties inside automatically.
Yeah, here in the configuration, in the design, you just see one row of
Uh,
configuration.
uh-huh.
But you know that inside element one, you have a lot of things here in the UDTs. So when you run the solution, what it will do is to explode the connection. It will be exploded point by point. So the good thing is that you do not have to do the configuration point by point, and then in runtime it will be like that, without needing to do anything.
Well, and not having to disclose the name and the locations, this solution is now included in FrameworX, and it's already being applied, as far as I know, in a large oil and gas application.
Mm-hmm. That's
Yeah.
correct. Yeah.
Perfect. And in that application, all those advanced security features, cross domains, and then all of them are being used, as far as I know, also.
Yeah, usually in these big companies, they have a lot of security, so we prepare the driver for that. And yeah, it's running there now. It's pretty fine.
Yeah, and perhaps Isabella can help me here. That kind of very sophisticated interface certainly will be an additional module for FrameworX that you can install independently. You have to do the license like many SCADA companies do. Is that right, Isabella?
Yeah, for sure. No, obviously everything else for us is included. The whole
To
thing.
be clear, oh, I want to make a joke.
Yeah, I got it. No, and just to make absolutely clear, everything is always included with us. The completeness is kind of our key aspect in everything we do.
So I don't have to pay to buy that module. I can just
absolutely not. So any security and everything else that you want to use, including all those integrations. Let me be very clear that PI, but also G and Influx are included. There is no extra cost associated with this specific integration.
So all the Historian packets that are mentioned, plus the 100 plus connectors that we have, they are all there included.
Yes, and you can, once you download, you can start exploring and connecting and testing that out from the get-go. We offer 4 hours runtime, but so that is limited, but the engineering you can play around with. I will add the link to download on chat here if you have not yet, but go ahead.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Eduardo. I know you are giving a training now in Chicago, so thank you for stepping out from the training session
Sure.
to help us here. Have a good class there, and I will take the leads here.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, bye.
Thanks, Eduardo. Thanks for that.
Okay.
So, Mark, yeah, what are you going to tell us about?
Well, let's now go back to keep talking about our own built-in features. And I think I will share now my own screen. So let me do that. So you should have here again our help file.
Give it a second. That is just, it always starts a little bit grainy, but it's coming up.
Gladly, our documentation
site
is doc.soft.com and is up and running. Our main site right now, like 1/4 of the planet, is down to
Cloudflare. I actually thought it was back, but it seems to be to be coming and going. As you guys know, if you do not know, Cloudflare had an issue this morning, but our documentation is safe.
Exactly.
So go ahead.
It broke 10% of the internet. But gladly, our documentation site is on. And what I'm going to show to you, I'll go back a little to our main product here, and I'm going to create a new application from scratch so you can see how easy it is. And by the way, the fact that we run multi-platform and Windows, it's great. because those advanced Active Directory integration, impersonation, all those things that we do with OSISoft PI, that's a Windows product, is thanks to having this native Windows version. So our multi-platform version runs in Windows also, but the ability to have one version specifically designed to .NET is really very helpful in some advanced integrations with Active Directory, and that description Eduardo was giving you. So let me talk about our built-in Historian module. The Historian module connects with field device communications and alarms is what you call the industrial modules or the process modules. And the Historian is really very, very simple, because out of the box, with no needing of external configuration, any tag in your application, you can right away define to be logged as a Historian, to be logged as time series data, because by default, without having to do zero configuration, we have a Historian location defined. That's a SQL database. And we have also defined by default this table one. And in our product, what you call a table, it can be a physical table in the SQL database, but when you are connected with PI, InfluxDB, and all other databases that you talk more, a table is in fact an entity in your products and objects where you define when you are going to save that data. Doesn't matter if you're saving in a SQLite database, that's what we create by default, or Oracle, or Timescale DB. Here you have, without having to go to an external package, the full control of that. For instance, you can define that this entity called table1, all tags connected with that entity, I'm going to out-create the data in the SQL on the external package. Canary Historian also have very nice integration with Canary, one of our great partners. And here, for instance, I'm going to say that my trigger will be the property server.hours, or I'm sorry, server.datetime.info.minutes. Probably makes more sense. So every 1 minute, I'm saving all those tags connect with that to the Historian. And also I will save in less than 1 minute when the tag has a new value. But to avoid creating too much data, I'm going to put a time that bends, that I will not save the data if the data changes more than one time in less than 500 milliseconds or 1 second. So you can put some protections based on our requirements, so you don't put too much data when you have a noisy data acquisition. And also, you can very easily define how long you want to save that in the Historian. So you can save for 1 year, or you can just leave empty. You don't delete the data, you need to delete that manually. So this very easy and high-level configuration applies to whatever physical location you are archiving the data. So in your application here, if you have here some tags, and if those tags here, you go to the Historian tags, and ask those tags to be saved in the Historian table 1, it means you are following that high-level configuration. Does it make sense to you, Isabella?
No, perfect. A lot of
Good.
protections to guarantee performance, right?
Exactly. And what's nice, all configurations out of the table. So in a couple of minutes, you have a working application. But then you can start to make that application more advanced. You can, for instance, change or add the storage location of that data. By default, is a SQLite database. We do have some very interesting applications with SQLite. SQLite used to be an embedded small database, but now application with 1,000 tags, 5,000 tags, there are even some applications up to 10,000 points, depending on the performance, are doing SQLite. But if you don't want to use SQLite, you want to use another database, you just select whatever you want to save. We do have some nice applications with Postgre. That is the timescale DB. Postgre did an extension they call timescale DB. And when you say here PostgreSQL, perhaps we should start writing PostgreSQL / timescale DB, because timescale DB is an extension top of Postgre that we are 100% compatible, specifically designed for performance optimization on that. Or you can save to Oracle, you can save to a SQL database, okay? Microsoft SQL. And not only you can change what you're storing, but you can also connect with other tools. So you see Canary Labs, gprofs, InfluxDB. We, as Eduardo showed, we just add OSISoft PI. We are just about to include the distribution, that new interface. And from time to time, we are adding new storing packages. So if you are willing to use your application, store a package that's not here, just tell us.
Yeah,
We'll gladly include that option. Go ahead, Isabella.
No, yeah, let us know. In general, guys, if there's any feature that you cannot find or anything, we can definitely work with you.
Exactly. And specifically on communication drivers, storing databases, we have open toolkit that you can create, or in most cases, we create at no cost, because we are always adding those connectors, but we add based on the priority on what's being requested by our users. Okay. Because after all, we have more than 100 interfaces, but there are hundreds of thousands of things in the market. So we are always adding at no cost based on the requirements. So in this case now, this application has two storage locations. It has one storage location that is a SQL database, and another storage location that is Canary Labs.
Mm-hmm.
So when I keep doing that abstraction model to create those objects, I'm going to create here what we call a historian table. And a historian table is a group set, is essentially a configuration applies to a group of tags. There is some process they call that transaction groups or something like that. And was giving training a few weeks ago and say, oh, I didn't find your product anything like the transaction groups to move data from PLC to SQL. And say, oh, it's just because you don't call transaction groups. That's a specific name for one product brand. And because of that, we decide to add one more example in our website that you call Edge SQL PLC
Perfect.
do how you can do a bridge to move data between SQL and PLC. So if we don't have time to go in too much details of everything, keep in mind that in our documentation, platform overview and modules, they are the basic concept explanation. Those two sections, they explain what are the modules at a high level. So those two sections help you to understand. Then you have the tutorials that give you explanations on how you can learn with small, simple examples. So if you want to learn by practice, you do the Historian module. Now that you have the concept, the base learnings, the how-to guides, they go on the detail, on the configuration of the module. So industrial operations, that is the Historian, you have the detailed information about that module. As well, you have lots of examples that you can use. And to search on that, either you can go to the how-to guides and put Historian, that you show specifically the queries inside the examples, or always you can do our global search that you pick up not only the Historian, but all the additional things, okay? And we also have in preview modes, we are still doing enhancements on that, but we are practicing and training our GBT AI assistants, okay? Here's in training modes. So when you use, give us feedback about the level of the quality of the replies, and keep in mind our AI is still a baby, so he's being trained yet. Good, so let's go back to the modules.
Just real quick.
Go ahead.
Just to kind of confirm, we got a question here. I'm putting it on link. If Grafana and InfluxDB are free.
Yes, all the InfluxDB interfaces also free.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. The Grafana, the InfluxDB, I will say one thing that I believe it's true, but you need to refer to their documentation sites.
Mm-hmm.
I believe there is a version of Grafana and InfluxDB that are completely free, and there is a version of InfluxDB that is paid with some additional features. But as far as I know, the free version of InfluxDB is very, very powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And about Grafana, they also have a free version. But keep in mind that Grafana is used for do some exploratory application, or applications that you only need trend charts.
Yeah.
So if I'm doing applications that mainly view InfluxDB data only, Grafana is a good choice. When your application starts to be a little bit more than that, we recommend to use our own trend chart tool because we have a trend chart object that is quite similar to some of the Grafana objects, but with the benefits that you can connect with any SQL data, any Historian package. It has advanced features like annotations, that you can dynamically or automatically put annotations on your charts. And this trend chart object is not something specific to Grafana. This trend chart object is part of our standard environment and drawing tool. So you can do very rich applications using the full capability of the drawing tools. Okay. So bottom line, Grafana is a very nice tool to work with InfluxDB only. If that's your case, okay. Other than that, our viewer option here, we have a very complete, rich set of objects, includes the thread shot data, where
Nice.
you can very easily plot data with those advanced features.
Nice. And I usually save the questions to the end, but just so the guys don't wait, I think we can
Yeah.
go through them a little bit and then we get back to it.
And by the way, Isabella, can you do me a favor
Of
as
course.
I'm talking here? Vitor and Roberto, they just sent me a message on Teams with some examples of real life applications,
Oh, nice.
which database are using, and how many tags they have in which database they're using. Okay. But I didn't have time to isolate the guy saying, oh, hello, how are you from the data? So get that with Roberto and Vitor and prepare a little summary for you to show in 5-10 minutes when you get that read, as I keep explaining here. Okay.
Okay. I'll see what I can do.
Yeah, just ask them to get the information you just put together and make a nice summary for that. And
so going back to the questions, this user also asked if it can be integrated via an API. Wasn't sure what point he asked that.
Yeah, let me explain a little bit about the concept of tag provider. It's a good, advanced question. But yes, I will explore. By the way, I will reply what I believe was your question.
Yeah,
after I finish, feel free to go that. Okay. When you have that concept of storage location that you can connect with third-party products, what we did is that we embed their APIs inside our products. So it means we're doing InfluxDB, we are calling the REST APIs from InfluxDB automatically. The same way in Canary Labs, they have a .NET library that we are calling. Nice. So we did that integration, use the APIs of those products. So all the configuration to store the data as well to retrieve the data, you don't need to know anything about their APIs. But that said, if you have some more advanced applications, you can, from our scripting tool, call also directly their APIs. We do have some advanced applications that they want to go beyond the traditional read retrieval and call specific APIs from the third-party products. So they created a C#, VB.NET, or Python code calling directly from our script model that's third-party APIs for that same database. I'm not going too much detail, but keep in mind that some products, it's just a REST API. In some products, you may have to add an external library. So in our .NET integration, you can add third-party libraries if you want to use that in the scripting codes. So depends on the API that we're going to use, you may need to add additional references. Okay. Yes. And of course, you can also do an application using our own integration APIs that does not run inside our script module. You can do using our APIs and the store APIs to do an application in Visual Studio also. I think that's answer the questions. If not, feel free to put another one.
And let's answer Dan's right now before we get into it.
Yes.
Which is
that one for MCP a little bit, Isabella. I will reply in 10 minutes from now, so I can finish my overview.
We'll get there. So go ahead.
Yeah. Do you have already that examples or not?
No,
yet?
Roberto hasn't sent it to me yet.
Okay. So when you have those numbers, you let me know and interrupt me. So let's go back to how is typically the workflow. Okay. If you want only to see data from a historian package, you don't want to archive. You want only to explore data from an external historian. You can go to our assets tree and create that concept of tag provider. The tag provider is a feature that allows you to explore data and put that data on asset model without having to create tags. So you see here, we have gProphecy, we have InfluxDB, that's a MES application, that's a SQL database, and the latest version, we also include OSISoft PI here. If we detect Canary Labs is installed on the computer, you can do also that with Canary. And as I said, we are, as our user requests, adding those additional interfaces to the system. When you want not only to browse the data, but you want to archive the data, then you go to the historian tool. And on the historian tool, I will review the process we described. You can go to the concept of storage location and add that other interface. So if it's InfluxDB, that is. And when you have that additional storage location, all the remainder of the configuration, the tables, the tags, the visualization, we have that abstraction. So once the configuration is defined here, the only thing we need to do to use any kind of historian is when you define that concept of historian table, you say, where is my storage location for this group of tags, this data sets? In this case, this data set will be from InfluxDB. And you see that on InfluxDB, you have the configuration to save the tag every time the tag has a new value, or we still have the option to put here triggers to define even the data. You don't have new data, you want to force a write in the database. In process automation, we like to do that because we want to have for safety from time to time a record in the time series data should be the full validation that the system was up and running. Because if you save only when the tag change, the tag remains stable for 2 days. In some applications, that's not good enough. You want to save some data in between those 2 days. Say, yeah, the date is the same, but here is my confirmation that the date is not changing and all is okay with the application. But you see that when I'm doing that configuration, I have the time that bends, but we do not have as many options as we have on the SQL storage. So all the concepts are exactly the same, but when you are saved to a SQL database, we can decide if you save or not the quality of the data, the OPC quality. Many times we're saving SQL, we remove that option, so the SQL database will be a little smaller and fast. And you can define what will be the schema of the database. Our documentation explains about the many schemas you can use in a SQL database. When you're using Canary, InfluxDB, GE, PI, Predictor, Mongo, any other type of database, some of those options, they will not be available because that database, in the case of InfluxDB, we always store the quality. So that's why we don't have that configuration when you work on InfluxDB. But what's important, after you define that configuration, the remaining of the configuration will be always the same. So again, if I'm creating some examples here, and I go to my Historian configuration, and you can define to each one of those tags that you defined, which ones will be saved in SQL, which one will be saved in whatever table you want to define. And this is a very informal presentation because Isabella, when you do your wrap-up, make sure you talk a little more about the Technical Tuesdays and all its squads, because here it looks like almost a training webinar, but hopefully in the future will be more a conversation because Technical Tuesdays when myself and we have a rotation, many of our top engineers will be here available to talk live with you, to get requests, explanations. So hopefully the future will be not as much presentation style. But today it is, so let me finish my presentation.
Yeah, and I got the
One of
numbers
the
for you.
features that we have that's nice in the Historian tool is this annotations feature that can be used a very advanced system to mix SQL data or events or event frames in top of such data. And you can also automatically overlay alarms of that tag.
Nice.
So it's a very powerful module, and we have good examples of that in the documentation. So what you have for me, Isabella?
I have the numbers you asked for.
Oh, okay. So let's talk about that.
Share screen. You see?
Yes, and before I read those numbers, if the ones that are reading, sometimes I ask, oh, how much tags I can put with SQLite database?
Mhm.
We cannot answer that question, sorry.
Yeah.
Because hypothetically, you can say 120 gigabytes, whatever. But the problem is the exact performance depends on your hardware, how many groups you create. So you have 50 tags in one group, or you have 50 independent tags with their own sampling rate. Then, what is your sampling rates?
Yeah.
You're saving all tags by exception, or you are grouping some tags to save only one specific event, like a batch start or an alarm. So there are so many variables that, sorry, it's not possible to give one magic number. This data type support up to that. If you are struggling to do your specifications, that's the Technical Tuesdays, and our one-to-one meetings are for.
Yeah.
So reach us out with all the data or specific scenario that we can give a more specific recommendation. So those are not any maximum number at all.
No.
Just real cases that are put in production the last few weeks.
Yeah.
That I asked our technical support to review if they knew about something recent. So let's go to the examples. Using Microsoft SQL Server, they create around 10 tables. Oh, that's large.
Yeah.
They have more than 100,000 tags here, Isabel.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 130,000 tags. Okay. Wow.
This is the biggest one by far. So.
And they have 3 million rows in some tables.
Yep.
And 700 gigabytes of history.
Yes.
And they're using Microsoft SQL Server for that.
Yes. It's an electrical company. We won't go into names, but just to give you an idea.
Yeah. But again, this application, I know the company, they are very advanced integrator. They know what they did. So you see they have a huge number of tags, but only 10 tables. I'm pretty sure they did lots of optimization on the data types, on the triggers to store the data. So to be able to have that in a standard SQL Server, not use a Historian package, to be clear, using the standard Microsoft SQL Server, it's possible, but to that level of performance, you really need to have a good database planning to do that. Very interesting. The next other example is Postgres. They are doing 400 gigabytes of data, 13,000 tags. Yes. They have rows with 500,000 rows, and they have 170 tables. By 170 tables means they divided their tags, their 10,000 tags, in how frequent I want to save that data. I want to save data every time the tag change. What about the time span? If the data changes very quickly, I want to save every modification, or is it okay to save data every 1 or 5 seconds? Yeah. So depending on your process requirements, you can do that optimization. So if you're planning an application using Historian, even before you worry too much about what to be the package, we can work with all of them, plus any SQL. You should work really on the process understanding. What tags I want to save, and what are the profile of those variables? Which one I need to save only when specific events? What is the minimal sampling rate? Can be only by exception. How that data will be efficient to be stored, and how I intend to use that on my retrieval. I'm using playback displays, I'm using scripting. Sometimes the intended use of the data can help you the optimization to define how you are grouping the data, whatever Historian package you use. Then we have another application, Oracle, that's saving 5,000 tags per second. It's not a very high number, but it shows that SQL databases can now perform features that 10, 20 years ago were only Historian packages. When I start, like 50 years ago, less than 50, to be able to save 5,000 variables per second, you needed a custom Historian tool. Not anymore. We have, in this example, they are saving 5,000 variables per second in a standard Oracle database. And this example is what I told you, that we have the time scale GB. So in that case, they put in 17,000 tags. Yeah. And those numbers, 5,000, 10,000, 7,000, they're not really huge numbers, to be clear. Nowadays, those 5, 10, 15, 10,000 tags are very common. And many of those applications, you don't even need a Historian tool for that. Yeah. We do have some applications with Pi that they have 1 million, 2 million tags in Pi. That's a case, probably still a good idea to make sure you have a large enterprise database. But for a few thousand tags, as you see, there are many and many options that perform equally well. Let's go to the question, Isabella.
Yeah, well, let's answer Dan now, because we're almost at our time anyway, which is, he loves MCP. So let's talk about that. The communication between FrameworX and InfluxDB, he wants to understand a little bit more. And how does FrameworX call the MCP server endpoint?
Okay.
He didn't finish his question, but I think that gave us an overview.
To be clear, right now, we will have that in the products. But right now, we are only an MCP server, not clients. We, however, been requested the feature to be also MCP client, and we will. But right now, we are only an MCP server. We are not calling InfluxDB MCP. So I will start for the second part of the question. If you want to use our MCP server to show data from MCP, you do the same way you do any MCP integration. You go to script classes and tasks. You create classes. You go to script classes. You create a new class that is an MCP tool. And when you create that class that is the MCP tool, this method you are going to create, for instance, my get data from InfluxDB about my solar panels, whatever. This method you create here, you just call the tags and the APIs that we have to get the data. And that's the same not by InfluxDB, by the way, that applies to whatever thing you want to do. So if you have some historian tables that we're creating use MCP, you can go to that specific table and you see our APIs and not even care if InfluxDB or whatever it is. And you can load or you can save, you can access data from that table through the table directly or from the tag also. So it doesn't matter really if it's InfluxDB or not. You just go to MCP2 and do whatever you need to do. And about the very first part of the question, we do not have in our documentation information how to install InfluxDB. For that one, you have to go to the InfluxDB documentation. But after you have that installation, if you search InfluxDB on documentation, you have the step-step configuration and the examples on how to set up that data acquisition. We have the example of a data structure inside InfluxDB, what you can and you cannot do using our interface, not having to do any REST API to InfluxDB. That I did explain before. You can, but here we explain all that you can do without having to do any API call.
Perfect. We got a question on pricing as well. Our pricing is available on the website, but we'll go through it real quick. Which is one of our competitors is 20,000. He corrected himself. The price for 5,000 tags. And how much would our historian cost? We don't sell our historian separate, but go ahead, Mark, explain it.
The historian is built in the products. So if we pick up our Edge HMI products for our enterprise 5,000 points, because that flare, so I don't know if I can access the exact price now.
Website is a little bit unstable because of Cloudflare, but I can see it.
Yeah, I think the Cloudflare is back, Isabella, because it seems the sites are getting back. But anyway, we have a version of FrameworX that's unlimited, and let's see if I can go here. If the sites, let's see if the internet's back. Yeah, the internet's back.
Go to pricing.
Yeah, so if I go to pricing, okay, we do have for FrameworX the unlimited version that is 11,000, but we do have smaller versions of that.
Yeah.
So we have, for instance, a product you call Enterprise 5,000 iOS, that's $7,000, but that's not the historian. That's everything. The displays, the alarms, the drawing tool, all the connectors. So, and the historian for 5,000 tags. So that will be our price points here. But to be clear, that's not the price of the Historian. That's the full package with all modules up to 5,000 I/O points.
So
And
awesome.
the I/O points is very important because I/O points means IOs. If you're doing some math expressions to data aggregation, the scripts, it's not an I/O points.
Yeah.
So eventually you'll be able to log even more than 5,000 points if because we don't have exact limitation on how points you do the historian. Those scaled down versions are only in the data from the fields. So if you are reading only 1,500 points from the PLC, and then you have 5, 10 data aggregation calculation that are calculated, this version of less than 5K also suits your application.
Awesome. And we are at the time. So any last thoughts, Mark, before I wrap this up?
No. Thank you very much. And
awesome.
Bring your specific questions.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Also, you have not only just public live YouTube presentations, but you are going to have also Discord talks that are not to public view. So feel free to bring your more specific and private questions, as long as about industrial automation, to our Discord websites, because we're going to have also some conversations that not be live streamed.
Yeah, so I was going to say, thank you guys. Thank you, Dan, for being, he says we're always such great company. So thank you guys for being here. If you have not subscribed to our channel yet, please do so. Like this video if you enjoyed the presentation.
And
like
if
Mark said,
tell us some feedback, how we can improve, and like in the same way.
Yeah. Let us know if you have any suggestions on our Discord, on our socials. I'm always looking for feedback and always looking for new suggestions on topics. You can also talk to us on Discord about specific projects or questions, and we're here for you. So once again, Mark, thank you so much for this. I'll see you guys soon, and thank you, everyone.
Take care. Bye.